the chairperson of this consultation yesterday, who governed all the civil society organizations through the day, but also the president and founder of the Forum of Women's NGOs of Kyrgyzstan, also a former professor, Ms. Nurgul Dzhanaeva. We are very honored to have you and pleased to have you. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Уважаемые дамы и господа, я имею честь представить заявление от гражданского общества, но мое выступление будет на английском языке. Но я очень рада была поприветствовать вас на языке, который почти родной мне. Ladies and gentlemen, more than 80 civil society representatives from the UNECE region met yesterday to provide input to this particular meeting on Sustainable Development Goals. There is an enormous interest from the diverse civil society organizations in our region, and they are playing continuing pivotal role in implementing Sustainable Development Goals. We are very proud that we have such a wide representatives from civil society from all the sectors: people with disabilities, children and youth, migrants and diaspora, workers and trade unions, farmers, small medium enterprises, science and academia, environment and development NGOs, and women, as well as from all sub-regions, particularly Eastern Europe, Turkey and Western Balkans, Caucasus, European Union, Northern America, and Central Asia. We looked at SDGs that are under review this year, and we identified gaps and challenges, as well as recommendations. We have a longer statement with detailed recommendations that we were happy to provide to you. But let me share with some of them. And one of them is a growing risk to enabling environments for civil society. But I was very happy to hear the experience that is going on in France. I shouldn't say maybe experience, but the process that is going on in France on institutionalization of civil society participation. And I think this is such a great value for us, and we look forward to learn it from you. CSOs are central in achieving 2030 agenda. Their success requires effective engagement from the very beginning of the processes of implementation, review, and follow-up at all levels. Yesterday, CSOs discussed several SDGs that are under review this year, and let me share some very few comments that experts provided expertise and best practices on these SDGs that were under review. For instance, on SDG 1, we note that nearly 30% of youth in Europe are at risk of poverty or social exclusion. Almost 80% of people with disabilities in our region are living in poverty. There are more than 4 million homeless people in the European Union, the richest region in the world. Increasing precarization results in informal work of up to 80% of the workforce in some UNECE countries. The other dimension of the poverty is multidimensional discrimination, multidimensional inequality that was described by one of our participants from disability movement. She explained how multiple dimensions of poverty as a blind woman, having been discriminated against and having suffered from gender discrimination and extremely limited employment perspectives. The other thing that we discussed regarding to goal number one, social protection schemes. UNECE governments are responsible to create adequate fiscal space to support social policies, especially to prevent and navigate crises through redistributive tax systems. The other goal was under review, number 5, and I was happy to hear today that many speakers were touching it and paying great attention, but still there are a lot of gaps. UNECE member states must ensure women's political participation at local, national, regional and global levels, secure proper coverage of sexual and reproductive health and rights and gender equality, and guarantee that women's rights are mainstream across all SDGs. Governmental priorities are currently going in the wrong direction. Funding for women's rights organizations have been halved in the last 5 years. Only 2% of ODA, and I'm very happy that OECD head is here, only 2% of the ODA devoted to peace and conflict targets gender equality. This year, the US military budget has been proposed to increase by $54 billion. Meanwhile, the same administration is eliminating funding connected to maternal health, AIDS, education, reproductive health, totaling a comparatively meager $640 million USD, endangering women's lives worldwide. We have a proposal to revert this trend. Yesterday, trade unions presented us a report on the care economy, and it shows a need for public investments that prioritizes care economy. SDG 17, we discussed much more, but I'm just shortening this. So SDG 17, financing for development must be adequate and accountable. And this is very important, accountable to achieve the SDGs. UNECE countries, particularly aid providers, should uphold their ODA commitments and to engage in pro-poor sustainable development cooperation. Against the background increasing channeling of development aid to private sector, and I'm sitting with the private sector, we call for investment in public, affordable, and inclusive services. Moreover, public-private partnerships and blending mechanisms should comply with development effectiveness principles and include CSOs across their project cycles. We demand that full attention to be paid to capacity building for all CSOs. We call for full effective accountability of all development partners and with accountability frameworks in place. The current state review of the VNR countries and our experience shows that we don't have in our place accountability frameworks for all development partners with full participation of CSOs. The global indicators framework is a minimum necessary. The global indicators framework is a minimum necessary to measure SDG progress and must be measured in line with human rights obligations. CSOs are valuable actors in this process. CSOs can provide valuable data to measure, but also to fill the measurement gaps. In conclusion, CSOs are full of energy and enthusiasm to realize sustainable and inclusive development. It is our mutual interest that all SDGs are achieved. Only educated and healthy societies can lead the way to sustainable development. For this, public investment in public services that targets the ones left behind is crucial. And finally, we civil society call for effective, meaningful engagement of civil societies in our region in processes at all levels. CSOs right now are working on institutionalizing the CSO engagement mechanism and ask support from the UNECE and its member states. For this to happen, sustained support for CSOs is crucial for us to contribute to implementation of SDGs. Thank you for your attention.